Usually, so black generally just has all of the best things. Like so many. Like in Duskmorn, they had the giant 9/9. In Bloomburrow, they had the huge bird. They had Blood Ripper or whatever, or Vein Ripper or whatever in one of the sets that was just an absolute fucking insane game-winning bomb. Black usually just has like some of the best bombs in the set and generally the best removal, which just kind of makes black an incredible color in draft. For as long as I can remember, at least. But maybe they've been toned down a little bit. I mean, white had like a lot of good removal. And even blue's like the -5, -0 card, and if you try and tap the thing you enchant with it, it explodes. Or if it takes damage, it explodes. Like, even that was pretty good removal, so we'll have to see what black has to compensate. Okay. Alpharel Stone Chosen is a 5-mana 3/3. Okay. He has Ward, discard a card at random. Sure. And whenever he attacks, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn, defending player loses half their life rounded up. Black doesn't need any more of these effects. They've already got the stupid... What's the zombie... The zombie mechanized saw card that they got in Duskmorn that does this when it hits somebody and also is a real pain in the ass to kill. That card. We don't need more of this, please. I suppose this guy doesn't even need to hit. He just needs to attack. And if something left the battlefield this turn, which means if black used a removal spell, which they accidentally just found in their back pocket because they're fucking black. This is going to be annoying. This is going to be really, really annoying. I dislike this card already. I think in limited, it's a 5-mana 3/3, which probably gets blown up or blocked and killed. So I don't think it's as big a deal, depending on how much removal black has in the limited format, in the limited space. But I'm already upset with this thing going into the mono black decks that already exist with, like I said, those saw guys. Because they already just play... Like, as far as I can tell, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free to fill the comments telling me I'm a fucking idiot. But the current mono black deck I see most of the time is 4 copies of Sheldrod, because she's just that good. 4 copies of the Saw Zombie that you have to destroy twice and deals half the health of your opponent when it hits you. And then every other card apart from land is removal. So, because they've got 4 copies of the 1-mana one that destroys a thing that's 5 or less. Like, 4 copies of the 4 different variations of destroy a creature at 2. Because there's the one that costs you 3 health or discard a card. There's the one that does non-artifacts. And there's the one that costs you 2 health or whatever. So there's like 12 cards there. And then they've got the 3-mana sacrifice thing. Or 2-mana sacrifice card. Your opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker or non-token creature. Shieldrod's Edict or whatever. And then they've got the board sweeper. The 5-mana board sweeper that you can... exile a creature card from your graveyard, or exile a 6-mana card from your graveyard, and then exile something from your opponent's graveyard. And then they've got Liliana at 3, because that also makes you sacrifice a creature. So it's 8 creatures that are actually going to win them the game, and then 30 pieces of removal, or 28 pieces of removal, and then 24 lands. This is just going to be, you take out the 4 pieces, like 1 from each of the removal pieces, and put this guy in. And then you have 12 creatures that win you the game, and 20 pieces of removal. Or whatever. Slightly more than that, like 24 pieces of removal. And I don't want to play against that black deck. That's going to be so boring. Right? I mean, I know there's also the demon one that has the card that lets you draw extra cards. If you control a demon, your opponent loses life. I have seen that, so maybe that's also in there. So maybe it's not all removal, but like, come on, man. We don't need to give them any more of this crap. Bro. Whatever. Arch Enemy's Charm. 3 mana for an instant. Choose 1. Exile target creature or planeswalker. Okay. Return 1 or 2 target creatures or planeswalkers from your graveyard to your hand. Put 2+1/+1 counters on target creature you control. It gains lifelink. This is just great. Right? It's exile removal or reanimation if you need it, or just a buff in combat that also gives you healing, right? This is just really good. Oh, for limited, I think this guy is probably good, but not incredible, because I think he just dies on the attack. Because he's a 5 mana 3/3, so I think your opponent probably has more stuff to block this. This is crazy. Like, this is a very good card. Right, next one. Beamsaw Prospector is a 2 mana 2/1. When this creature dies, create a lander token. Okay, don't hate it. Like sacrifice fodder that gives you an artifact that you can always sacrifice later. Yeah, this is fine. Kind of fine. Blade of the Swarm. A 4 mana 3/1. When this creature enters, choose 1. Put 2+1/+1 counters on this creature, which is then makes it a 5/3. Okay, 4 mana 5/3 is not awful. Or put target exiled card with warp on the bottom of its owner's library. That's funny. That's some hater shit right there. that is some hater shit right there. I don't know how good this guy is. I mean, he's a 4 mana 5/3, which is kind of fine. But this is funny hater shit, right? Like, this is just, oh, that's a sweet warp card you've got right there. Put it on the bottom of your library. Like, this is just some hater. This would be better if this had warp, right? So your opponent make it like warp for 2 or something. So your opponent plays like a cheap warp creature. So you warp this in for cheaper just to exile their warp card because it's just pure hater shit. And then you've got it in exile, and they know you've got it there, so they're too scared to warp anything. This should have warp itself. This is some prime hater bullshit. This is great. I like this. Just, I might run this if I'm ever running black, just to upset people who are warping things. This is funny. Cool. What's that? That's not. I want to say Choir of the Void, but it's not. Choral of the Void? I don't. What? Choral? I don't know what that first word is. Something of the Void. 4 mana enchantment. You enchant a creature. When enchanted creature attacks, put target creature card from defending player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, tapped and attacking. Void. At the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this aura unless a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or was warped this turn. Have we seen Void before? Oh, this guy was Void. Whenever it attacks, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn, is it the same thing? At the beginning of your end step, sacrifice this aura unless a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn. Okay. So I'm assuming Void is going to be something happens unless a non-land permanent left or unless you warped something. Okay. This is good, right? You 4 mana, enchant a creature, swing at your opponent, steal something from their graveyard, and keep it because it doesn't get exiled or anything. Like, the only issue being, if this is your entire turn, you sacrifice it immediately. Unless your opponent has something in their graveyard that you can do to immediately get rid of something else. But I think this is good, right? This just has to be good. Take your opponent's best card out of their graveyard, assuming that you've used removal to put it there. That's going to be really useful. Yeah, I think that's really good. Comet Crawler, a 3-mana 2/3 with lifelink. Whenever this creature attacks, you may sacrifice another creature or artifact. If you do, it gets +2/+0. Sure. 4/3 lifelinker for 3. Just good, I think. Not, crazy out of control good. It's just good. I'll just take that. Dark Endurance. Okay. 2 mana, instant speed, costs 1 less to cast if it targets a blocking creature. +2/+0 and gains indestructible. Okay, so this is your standard black. Like, what was the last one of this? This was in, I don't know if there was one in Final Fantasy, but there was in, oh my god, Dragons of Tarkir. Dragons of Tarkir, it was the one that gave indestructible and lifelink to your creature. Alesh, something of Alesha? I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. They always print something like this, a way for black creatures to trade up, because black creatures generally suck. Although, we haven't seen a really bad... Oh, okay, actually, no, this guy only being a 5-mana 3/3 is bad. Like, his effect is great, but he's a 5-mana 3/3, so... and yeah, this gives you a way to trade up on the defense. Yeah, this is fine. I mean, again, I'm not too excited about stuff like this, because I don't really play combat tricks, but I will definitely get fucked by somebody playing this. Decode Transmissions. 3-mana sorcery. You draw 2 cards, lose 2 life. Sure. This is what? Blood Pact or whatever, something. There's a whole bunch of these type of cards in black. Void. If an online permanent left the battlefield this turn or was warped this turn, instead you draw 2 cards and each opponent loses 2 life. Oh, that's actually pretty good. I mean, you have to sacrifice something, but it looks like black has some ways to do sacrifice shenanigans. So this could still be 2 mana, draw 2, your opponents lose 2, which is pretty good. I give this a yeah. I mean, again, I don't tend to run many of these sort of cards, but this is probably fine. It's probably actually better than I'm giving it credit for. This is probably pretty good. Depressurize. 3 mana instant. Type creature gets -3/-0 until end of turn. Then if the creature's power is 0 or less, destroy it. Okay. Sure. Cheapy little removal for anything that's got power 3 or less. I mean, people can respond to this and buff their creature's power so that it doesn't die. But I mean, compared to most black removal, actually, this kind of sucks ass. But, I mean, it's cheap, so you're probably still going to take this, and it's removal and limited, so you're definitely taking it limited. But, yeah, compared to other black removal, usually for 2 mana, black just says, I'll destroy your creature and punch you in the face and then spit in your eye. Because I said so for 2. Like, is that not what your general 2 mana black spell does? Destroy a creature, punch you in the face, and spit in your eye, right? That's what 2 mana black spells do usually nowadays. Dubious Delicacy. Okay. 3 mana, flash food. When it enters up to 1 target creature gets -3/-3. Again, not the best piece of removal, but sure. You can tap 2, sacrifice it, gain 3 life. You can tap 2, sacrifice it, make someone lose 3 life. I don't hate this, actually. Like, it is removal. Technically, you probably run it. It's sort of flash. Well, it's sort of instant speed because it's got flash. I guess, yeah. I mean, it's still not great compared to most black spells. I mean, to be fair, this was rare. But this is exile something for 3. The same price. So for 3 mana, that exiles something. This maybe kills something. But it is rare versus uncommon. And like I said, maybe they're trying to limit black's removal so they can't just kill everything on sight. Elegy Acolyte. 4 mana, 4/4 lifelinker. Wow, okay. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card and lose a life. Yep, that's pretty good. At the beginning of combat, at the beginning of your end step, sorry, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn, create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. This is good, right? This is very good. It's a 4 mana, 4/4 lifelinker that allows you to just kind of swing with all of your crappy little guys. And if your opponent doesn't block, you draw cards. You draw a card and lose a life. And if your opponent does block, you get 2/2s. Or a 2/2, I suppose. So I think this is really good in a limited format, certainly. Yeah, I think this is probably the best black card we've seen so far in limited format. Well, maybe not. Maybe this Arc Enemy Psalm is just nutso as well. But I wasn't a big fan of Aferal. And everything else has been... I mean, I did like this Blade of the Swarm because it's just pure hater shit. But, like... it's not actually a good card. It's just funny. Yeah, sure. Like, I think this is probably the best black card we've seen so far. Embrace Oblivion. 1 mana, as an additional cost, sacrifice an artifact. Yeah. There's so many of these cards in black. Destroy target creature or spacecraft. It doesn't exile? Man, that's bad. So this is like Eaten Alive, or there's a bunch of black cards that do the same effect. Sacrifice something and make one of your opponent's things go away. It looks like black wants to be doing sacrifice things anyway, because they want, with the Void thing, they want permanents to be leaving. So, yeah, I'm kind of okay with this. It's sorcery speed, so it's not great, but yeah, I'm fine with this. It's just a fine card. I'd probably run at least 1 or 2 of these, especially if I was doing the sacrifice thing. Oh my word. Entropic Battle Cruiser is a 4 mana station that, if you can get it to +1, whenever opponent discards a card, they lose 3 life. Have we seen any discard stuff so far? Nope. Nope. Nada. Nope. 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 This guy can make people discard at random when they try and target him. Okay, so we don't exactly have that's not exactly going to do a massive amount, but sure. And then at 8, it is a Flying Death Touch 3/10 that makes each opponent discard a card when it attacks, and they can't. If they can't, they lose 3 life anyway. Okay. So this is what do I think? So the white one was give everything +1/+1. And then it was, what, a 3/5 flying lifelinker or something? The blue one turned artifacts into 2/2 flyers, and then was like a 4/7 or something that milled people. So this is the best second half. So at +8, this is a Flying Death Touching 3/10. There is absolutely nothing that is going to stop this thing realistically, right? Unless there's another Death Touch flyer that we haven't seen. There is just nothing that's going to stop this thing, and this can block fucking everything. But the +1, the first effect does fuck all, essentially. Because the first effect for the white one, all your creatures get +1/+1. That's all you care about. That's really good for a limited format. And the blue one, turning an artifact into a 2/2 every turn with flying, that's all you care. That's a good effect. Turning it into a flyer, turning it into a creature will be something that you can do eventually if you need it to win, but you're not that fussed by it, right? Like, it is a thing that can happen at some point in the future. This reads, at 1, I do fuck all. At 8, I probably win you the game. right? So this is the one where you have to take into account how slow station is. Because if you can't trigger this station in 3 to 4 turns, you probably are just losing. Because the first effect doesn't do anything. It's just a nada. It's a nothing. It's just not going to do anything, right? Probably, unless you've got like a shit ton of discard mechanics. But then what? Are you going to kill your opponent with by making them discard 7 cards? What is it? 7 times 3 is 21. Yeah, 7 cards. You have to make someone discard 7 cards for the 1 to kill people. And I mean, eventually people, your opponent, if you're trying to make them discard 7 cards to kill them with this card, your opponent's just going to play everything. Like, you can't discard if you've got nothing in hand. So, yeah. I don't know. This is another one. This is the one that's going to either prove whether station is too slow, right? Because everything else, the other two we've seen, the first stage actually is useful. This one, the first stage is completely worthless, but the second stage is game winning. So if you can reliably get the second stage of this off and win a game with it, station's probably pretty good. If you can't because it's too slow and you just die, because your turn 4 is, I play this spacecraft that does nothing, then it's probably not viable, right? At least this one isn't. But it looks very cool. I give it that. But yeah, this is just kind of like do nothing. And there isn't any way to like speed up there. Like if there was a card that's like when you sacrifice something, proliferate or do charge counters or something like that, maybe you could more reliably get this off, but you really can't. Faller's Faithful, a 3-mana 3/1. When this creature enters, destroy up to 1 other target creature. If that creature wasn't dealt damage this turn, its controller draws 2 cards. Oh, interesting. Okay, so usually they print like destroy something that was dealt damage this turn, or that's usually it, actually. It's just, there's usually a flash creature that has, if a creature, or sometimes not flash, which makes them even worse, but usually there's like a creature printed in black that has, I will destroy something if it's dealt damage. And they're usually kind of trash, because your opponent isn't realistically going to play into it unless they're stupid. Like, if you attack with a 1/1 and they have a 6/6 open and they're black, like, and you're playing black, your opponent's not going to be like, oh, I think he's just sacrificing the 1/1 for the hell of it. Like, they're going to assume you have this style of card. But this creature is just destroy something. But if you destroy something that wasn't dealt damage, its controller draws 2 cards. How bad is that in a limited format? I don't know. I think I'd play this card just for removal, because removing your opponent's big scary threat is probably more important than the top 2 cards of their library. But you never know, because your opponent could just have drafted the absolute nuts, and they could just keep playing game-winning threat after game-winning threat, because they're just drawing more cards every time you destroy something. But we'll have to wait and see. Bell Graveship. Okay, here's the uncommon version. 3 mana, when it enters, mill 3 cards, then return a creature or spacecraft from your graveyard to your hand. That's okay. And at 8, it's a flying, life-linking 3/2. Sure. It's bad compared to the other ones. The other ones were all bigger than this, right? They were at least, I think the white one was a 3/4, and the blue one was a 4/4. So this is just worse than both of them, and just dies to both of them. But this does get you a creature. The blue one bounced 2 things, which I think was way better. And the white one reanimated something to the battlefield, which is probably better than this as well, but they are more expensive. I think black's really suffering in the spacecraft department, because like this is just not as good as the other ones, I don't think. Again, if you can get this to 8, this is game winning, but everything else, yeah, but the first tier just sucks ass. Yeah, I don't think I like this one either. This is very meh. Grav Blade Heavy. It's a 4 mana, 3/4. As long as you control an artifact, it's a 4/4 with Death Touch. 4/4 with Death Touch is scary. You do not want to be blocking that, and you can't really attack into it. So that's actually pretty good. I think if you're doing artifacts, or you have any artifacts, this is probably just a good creature to have, right? 4 mana, 4/4 with Death Touch. Just absolutely locks up the ground. Yeah. Grav Kill. 4 mana. Get rid of something. I mean, it is exile, so 4 mana is about right for common exile. Also, this is common. Fuck me. Okay. So don't expect to keep any creatures around after turn 4 against black, because they're going to have like 3 of this card in every single deck. Damn it. Okay. But yeah, I mean, this is just black removal, right? They get good removal. I mean, at least this costs 4. Their 2 mana removal sucks, kind of. Yeah, their 2 mana removal sucked, and their 3 mana removal sucked as well. So I mean, well, the uncommon version did. The rare version was cracked. But at least they have kind of crappy options. They have to wait until turn 4 before they can just remove something completely, at least so far. Gravpack Monoist? Gravpack Monoist? 3 mana for a 2/1 flyer. When it dies, create a creature. Sure, this is probably fine. This is a very generic. Hey, look, it's a 3 mana dude that makes a dude. Sure. Hull Carver is a 1 mana 1/1 with Death Touch. We have seen a lot of these things before. It just locks up the ground for you early. Black likes these things because you just... Black creatures tend to suck, but they have if they have Death Touch, it doesn't matter because they can just trade up with everything. So yeah, this is probably... Nobody wants to attack into this. And nobody wants to block it. So you get a few early bips of damage in, and then you just sit on this and it just blocks whatever. Hilderblade. Okay, it's a 1 mana equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+1. Sure. At the beginning of your end step, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn, or a spell was warped this turn, attach this. This is actually probably pretty good, right? If you're doing like a sacrifice deck, you can just play this, and then at the end of your turn, just equip this to the things you're not sacrificing, and it just makes them huge. This is good, actually. This is good enough that I'd run it, I think, in Limited. It's a +3/+1 that auto-equips itself, generally. Yeah, I'd run this. And that's saying stuff, because I really don't tend to play artifacts or enchantments very much. But I'd run this. Hymn of the Faller. Okay. 2 mana, surveil 1, draw a card, lose 1 life. Void, draw another card. Okay. So this is 2 mana, surveil 1, draw 2 cards, and lose a life if you have sacrificed something. Or if something died. Yeah, this is pretty good. I think for 2 mana, it is sorcery speed, which is a bit slow, but or you have to do it in your turn, so you can't exactly leave mana up for things. But yeah, I think this is fine. Like 2 mana, surveil 1, draw 2 cards, lose a life is a lot for 2, right? So if you've got the Void trigger, this is really good for 2. And if you haven't, it's just kind of okay. Insatiable Skittermore, a 3 mana 2/2 with Menace. At the beginning of end step, if you did the Void stuff, this grows. Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you're doing the void stuff, which you probably are because you are either removing something, warping, or sacrificing something, then this is just going to get bigger and bigger. And it has menace, which is nice. So this is probably good enough. I don't know. Yeah, it's probably good enough. Lightless Evangel. 2 mana, 2/2. Whenever you sacrifice another creature or artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Yeah, this is another one. If you're doing the sacrifice thing, or even in Void, just because you are probably mixing the two, this does work, because it's going to get real big. Monoist Circuit Feeder is a 6 mana 4/4 flyer, and when it enters, until end of turn, each creature you control gets +X/+O. Oh no, until end of turn, target creature. I was going to say each creature? Surely not. Target creature you control gets +X/+O until end of turn. And target creature an opponent control gets -0/-X. So X is the number of artifacts you control. This is pretty good. It's like a buff and maybe removal. I mean, maybe you run like one of these. It is a 6 mana 4/4, so But I mean, if you've got a bunch of artifacts, which you might do, I'm assuming you're running artifacts if you're running this thing. It's a flying 4/4 that makes one of your creatures big and destroys an enemy creature. Yeah, this can be good. Again, I think you have to build around it, but I think this can be good. Monoist Sentry is a 1 mana 4/1 defender. Sure. A 1 mana, please don't hit me, because I'll kill whatever is trying. Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't hate this, but it's very obviously like, because this if your opponent has a 1/1, they're just going to start swinging at you every turn, because what are you going to do about it, right? But if they have anything up to and including a 4/4, they're never going to want to swing at you, because this is a 1 mana that'll just eat it. But, you know, it is very, very... It's like it's the 1 mana Death Touch thing again, but like... We got tired of printing 1 mana 1/1 Death Touch creatures, so now here's another way to essentially have a 1 mana Death Touch creature for the first 4 turns of the game. Very silly. Peregrine Beckoner is a 5 mana 4/5. When this creature enters until end of turn, another type creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains when this creature dies. Return to the battlefield tapped. And you can warp it. Yeah, pretty good. Like it's a 5 mana 4/5 or a 2 mana +2/+0, and when it dies, return to the battlefield. Like this is. So the instant speed +2/+0, and when it dies, return to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control, costs 2 mana. So this is slower because you can only do it at sorcery speed. But, like, it's essentially the same effect. So I don't hate for the same cost. So I don't hate it. Requiem Monolith. 3 mana artifact. Until end of turn, target creature gains when this creature is dealt damage. I'm going to have to actually read this. Until end of turn, target creature... Oh, it's not you control. Until end of turn, target creature gains. When this creature is dealt damage, you draw that many cards and lose that much life. That creature's controller may have this artifact deal 1 damage to it. Okay. I mean... There's a lot. So this guy is a 2/1 that when he dies does stuff, and then where's the other guy? He's all the way back here, right? Miles away. This guy's a 2/1 that when he dies does stuff. So this is, you give it to your own creatures that you want to sacrifice anyway. tap it, or, yeah, make it deal 1 damage to it. You lose a life, draw a card, the creature dies, triggers its own death effect, which comes back with thing, with a card, and something left the battlefield this turn. So this triggers all the void effects. This is pretty good. I think if you're specifically doing the void thing, just having multiple ways to trigger void is better. And this is just another way to trigger void for free. Scourge for Eternity is a 3-mana sorcery. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature. Return target creature or spacecraft card with mana value 5 or less. Graveyard to the back. Oh, they don't need cheaper reanimation. Please, Wizards, please. Make people play with the cards in their hand. Please. Okay. Okay, fine. Sure. This is probably good. You have a bunch of cards that want to be sacrificed, and then there's probably a fight. I mean, how much does this thing cost? 4, so you can just keep bringing back the battle cruiser and then stacking it and trying to get it. Like, so the problem with the battle cruiser is your opponent can see it coming. So, like I'm saying, it's too slow because your opponent can see it coming, so they can just sit there and wait for it. And when you do put enough effort into it becoming a creature, then they blow it up. But then you just sacrifice one of the cards that you've been feeding into it and just return it to the battlefield with this, and then just start stacking it up again. And your opponent cannot get that the black spacecraft to 8, because if they do, you just lose. It deals 6 damage every turn. It's a huge flying death toucher that you're never going to be able to stop. So, like, stuff like this makes that more doable. I don't know. Again, it depends how slow spacecraft is. Maybe you just blow it up once and your opponent tries to do this to bring it back, and then you just kill them before they have a chance to actually get it off. But, like, I hate cards like this. Hate them. Because it just means every single, like, again, playing against, unless they reprint Scavenging Ooze, they're not going to do, because why would they? Decks like this do the exact same thing, right? Turn 1, play a land, probably do nothing. Turn 2, play a land, discard a card, make a treasure token, or maybe on turn 1 they played the guy that sacrificed, make a treasure token, whatever. Turn 3, if they've discarded, if they did play the, turn 2, discard a card, they've discarded Valgavoth or something, and then you just play this, sacrifice the creature, bring Valgavoth back, your opponent's staring down a 9/9 flying hexproof or ward, but you have to sacrifice 3 permanents, which you don't have. Like, every single time is going to be, I suppose technically this can only trigger things at 5 or less, but giving them more ways to reanimate things is not better. This is Shield Rod, right? Shield Rod is 4. This is sacrifice something, reanimate Shield Rod. I mean, in a limited format, I don't know. Maybe this is too slow, but maybe it's not. And if it's not, then your opponent's just not going to play from their hand. They're just going to do this every fucking turn. I fucking hate this style of card. Sure, whatever. Sothera the Super Void. Fuck. 4 mana for a legendary enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent chooses a creature they control and exile. This is game winning. You play this and your opponent concedes. At the beginning of your end step, if a player controls no creatures, sacrifice Sothera, then put a creature card exiled with it onto the battlefield under your control with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Yeah, this is just game winning, right? If like even if you're not playing the sacrifice deck, you play this, swing with your entire board, and if your opponent kills anything, they have to. Because it's whenever, right? They kill like 2 cards. They just have to exile 2 of their own creatures, and then when either of you run out of creatures, you just get something back. Yeah, this is game winning. Absolutely crazy game winning limited card. It has to be, right? I can't think of a single scenario where this doesn't just fucking just make your opponent give you concede. Sunset Saboteur, a 2-mana 4/1 with Menace and Ward, discard a card, and whenever it attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature an opponent controls. What? It's a weird ass card. I mean, it's a 2-mana 4/1 with Menace, but you're probably not. You're not going to swing with it until turn 3. So your opponent probably has 2 cards, and then they're going to kill this, and you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature. Isn't this just bad? I think this sucks. I think this sucks. Yeah, it's a 2-mana 4/1 with Menace. The Ward, I don't think you give a shit about. And when this creature attacks, yeah, I think this sucks. Maybe there's something crazy that I'm not seeing about it, but this just sucks, I think. Yep, I'm going with it sucks. Caesarean Dirge Craps. This is the uncommon. Wait, did we see the uncommon already? Oh, sorry, pressing the wrong buttons. Yeah, there's another one? Okay, sure. Okay. A 5-mana, when this spacecraft enters, each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature. Okay, 5-mana removal, and you can turn it into a 4/3 flyer. This one I prefer, because it actually does something to the battlefield when it enters, is sort of removal. I mean, by the time this comes down, I suppose it's non-token, so your opponent can't just sacrifice like their shittiest thing, or their like a token to just ignore it, but yeah, I don't hate this one. This is not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. Caesarean Voidborn is a 3-mana 2/2. Whenever this creature or another creature or artifact you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Short drain effect, and it has warp. Okay, yeah, this is pretty good as well, because you can warp this in, swing with a bunch of stuff. It all dies. You get to like ping your opponent, drain a bunch. Flame later for the same effect. Yeah. I don't hate this. Swarm Caller. 4-mana 2/4 flyer. When this creature becomes tapped, you may sacrifice another creature or artifact. If you do, draw a card. Sure, more sacrifice stuff for the sacrifice deck. It's fine. Temporal Intervention. A 3-mana void. The spell costs 2 less if the void stuff happens. Sure. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose an online card. Player discards it. Yeah, I never really play these cards, but they can win you the game depending on what you hit. But yeah, whatever. Timeline Color. A 2-mana 2/2 with haste. You may cast this card from your graveyard using its warp ability. This is good, right? Because you like... I mean, it's only a 2/2 with haste, but it's like infinite recursion. Because you can always just warp 1 mana, pay 2, and it just comes back, and then it's still a 2/2 with haste. This is good. This has to be good. I think this just has to be a good card. Because you can keep sacrificing it for things, or, you know, just doing whatever, and it's just going to keep coming back. Even if it costs you 2 life, Black has ways to make you pay life or to drain life from you. We literally just saw one here. Yeah, this is a good card. Definitely. Just because it's just going to keep coming back. It's going to be an absolute pest. Tragic Trajectory is a 1 mana. Target creature gets -2/-2. It gets -10. Okay, so this is Tragic Slip. Not quite as good as Tragic Slip, because I think Tragic Slip was instant and -13/-13. But this is Tragic Slip. Maybe that's why it's Tragic Trajectory, because it's referencing Tragic Slip. But yeah, this is a good card. Tragic Slip was great, so this is going to be great as well. Especially because like it looks like the Void deck is going to be doing its own, or Black in general is going to be sacrificing its own stuff, or finding ways to trigger Void that don't require you to actually like cast spells or do anything. So this is just 1 mana -10/-10 when they need it. Ugh. Umbral Collar Zealot. A 2 mana 3/2, sacrifice another creature or artifact, surveil 1. Sure. Another sack outlet, so pretty good. If you're doing the sacrifice thing, this is probably a card you want in your sacrifice deck, so you can just sacrifice whenever you need it. Virus Beetle. 2 mana for a 1/1 when it enters, each opponent discards a card. Yeah, we've seen 100 of these guys, so sure, this is generally pretty good, because what happens is you play this and then you sacrifice it. That's it. Void Forged Titan. 5 mana 5/4, and if you've got the Void stuff going on, at the beginning of your end step, you draw a card and you lose a life. Sure, that's pretty good actually. I mean, it's a 5/4 for 5 mana, so it's fine on the stats, I guess. And draw a card, lose a life at the beginning of your end step for doing probably what the entire deck is trying to do is pretty good. Vote Out. 4 mana with Convoke, destroy target creature. Okay, well this is the good removal. Although it is sorcery speed, so maybe not. Maybe this sucks as well. But this can be 1 mana destroy target creature, so well, you can tap creatures for the mana, so it would be tapping 3 creatures and 1 mana. But you know what I mean. Technically, you don't need that much mana for this. Oh my god. Zoo Ifit Osteoharmonist? Jesus, that's a fucking name. 3 mana for a 2/3 that you can tap, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's a skeleton in addition to its other types and has no abilities. This is probably game winning as well, just because you can keep bringing back creatures that died. Like, because it doesn't cost anything. So they're at least coming back for free with their stats, right? So this is still a 5/4 robot warrior that's also a skeleton. Even if it doesn't have the rest of its effects, it still comes back as a 5/4. Which means you essentially, for every creature you have, you actually have 2. And your opponent has to deal with them. Because they kill them and then you just bring them back. And you can keep bringing them back, actually, right? Because they don't have, like, a finality counter, so they don't get exiled. They don't have exile it after it dies again or anything. They just keep coming back. So you have to kill this thing, or else your opponent's just going to keep having guys. And that's going to be really annoying. So yeah, this is like a kill on sight. This is a game winning and your opponent has to kill it on sight kind of card. 0 Point Ballad. 1 and X. Destroy all creatures with toughness X or less. You lose X life. If X is 6 or more, return a creature card put into the graveyard this way onto the battlefield under your control. Game winning again. I always like having the board wipe, because if you have the board wipe, you get to choose when it's used. I think this one is slightly more fair because you have to actually take life to do it. But I mean, if you make X 6 or more and you're actually returning something with toughness 6 or more from the graveyard to the battlefield, it's probably just a game-winning card anyway. So, yeah. This is essentially destroy all creatures lose X life, and if X is 6 or more, you win the game. So, do you have 7 mana? Because you're probably just bringing back some crazy huge card that's going to win you the game. Yeah. Alright, that's it. So that's what's that? White, blue, and black. What did I think of black? They have, as per usual, some absolute game winners, and they have... Actually, their removal is slightly worse than normal, I think, which is interesting. And I still think this battle cruiser, this rare spacecraft, is the worst of the 3 we've seen so far, because its first ability is completely worthless. In limited, at least. So, although doesn't this just like go into a bunch of the black discard decks that currently exist? Because that's sad. But yeah, I think black has got like it's got the Super Void, it's got this Skeleton Lady, it's got this Board Wipe, it's got a bunch of just really, really powerful cards in it. And then some good synergies as well. Like, the Void mechanic is just really nice, I think. So, yeah, I think black's still doing well for itself. As always, as I said, black generally does really well for itself in limited. Right.